So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Today we will be talking about leading. So, for today, our learning objectives will be first, discuss leading and its importance. Second, discuss the nature of leadership. Third, discuss behavioral approaches to leadership skills. And fourth, discuss contingency approaches to leadership styles. So, before we start, ano nga ba ang leading? So, what is leading? Yan. So, leading is that management function which involves influencing others to engage in the work, behaviors necessary to reach organizational goals. So, the definition indicates that a person or group must assume the role performed by leaders. So, in simplest term po is leading is the action of guiding or influencing others, while leadership is the broader process and quality and that supports and defines how that guidance happens. So in essence, leadership involves inspiring, empowering, and building a collaborative culture. So strong leadership enables effective leading. So yun yung pinaka-short na explanation doon. So leading is just part ng leadership, effective leadership. So next naman, so how do leaders influence others? Engineer managers expected to maintain effective workforce. To be able to do so, they are required to perform leadership roles. Leaders are said to influence others because of the power they possess. Power refers to the ability of a leader to exert force on one another. So, leaders influence others by setting a strong example po. So, communicating clearly, building trust, inspiring a shared vision, empowering their team, and motivating through support and encouragement. Through those powers po, mas nagiging united ang isang workforce or parang group, kumbaga. Ganun po. So, next. So, power. So, ito yung nire-refer ko kanina na power. Power refers to the ability of a leader to exert force on another. So we have here 5 different powers. We have legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, and referent power and expert power. So first, let us discuss legitimate power. A person, so sabi dito, a person who occupies a higher position and has a legitimate power over persons in lower position organization. So, example po ng legitimate power ay one, yung parang yung yung manager na nag-a-assign ng task. Two is yung teacher na nagbibigay ng homework and yung judge na nagbibigay ng ruling at saka yung principal na parang nagse-set ng rules. So, yun po yung mga example ng legitimate power. So, next naman is reward power. When a person has the ability to give rewards to anybody who follows orders or requests. So, example po ng reward power naman is yung pagbibigay ng bonus, pag-o-offer ng mga promotion, pag-grant ng extra vacation days, at saka yung pagbibigay ng mga gift cards, kumbaga sa mga employees or mga ka-workmates mo. Next, we have coercive power. When a person, sabi dito, when a person compels another to comply with orders through threats or punishment. So, parang pananakot. So, example nito are yung threatening to life, parang ganun, demoting an employee, giving an penalty, and withholding a bonus po. Yun yung mga yun yung type or example ng coercive power. Next naman is yung expert power. Sabi dito, experts provide specialized information regarding their specific lines of expertise. So, example po ng expert powers are yung doctor na nagbibigay ng medical advice, engineer na nagbibigay ng solving technical issues, IT specialist fixing a system, and lawyers explaining legal matters. So, yun po yung mga examples ng expert power. And lastly, we have referent power. When a person can get a compliance from another because the latter would want to be identified with the former. So, examples naman ng referent power ay yung popular celebrity influencing fashion trends, A respected mentor guiding a protege, a charismatic leader inspiring followers, a well-liked team member motivating others, and lastly, a social media influencer shaping opinions. So, yun po yung iba't ibang uri ng powers based on the book which we referred to. Next, we will be dealing about the nature of leadership. So, leadership may be referred to as the process of influencing and supporting others' work enthusiastically toward achieving objectives. Leadership is expected of any manager in charge of any unit or division. One cannot expect a unit or division to achieve objectives in the absence of effective leadership. Even if a leader is present, if he is not functioning properly, no unit or division objectives can be expected to be achieved. So, yun nga, need na need natin ang mga leaders natin. At saka, yung leader natin na yun, na na-assign natin, must have the nature of being a leader. So, if wala sa kanya yung mga traits or talagang motives na maging leader, mahihirapan yung workforce natin. So, ano nga ba yung trait of effective leaders? So, we have here different traits of effective leaders. We have, ano ba to? 9 exactly to be exact na nasa presentation. So let us discuss each one by one. So traits of effective leaders. Number 1, personal drive. So yun. Drive is a key leadership trait marked by responsibility, energy, persistence, and resilience. Leaders with strong drive keep pushing toward goals despite setbacks, finding new paths when others fail. So napaka-importante ng trait na to ng isang leader, no? So, personal drive is important in leadership because it fuels a leader's determination, resilience, and motivation to achieve goals. It helps them stay focused on an objective and inspire and motivate others through their enthusiasm and commitment. A leader with strong personal drive leads with passion and energy, making them more effective and influential. So, yun po. Next naman ay yung siyempre, desire to lead. Mahirap naman nating parang ipilit sa iba yung responsibility ng pagiging leader. Sabi dito, leaders without the desire to lead lack commitment, while those who truly wants to lead bring extra effort and dedication when it's needed most. So, the desire to lead is important, no guys, because it motivates a leader to take initiative, take responsibility, and guide others effectively. It fosters passion for helping other grows, sets a clear direction, and builds trust within the team. Without the desire to lead, a leader may lack the commitment to inspire and make meaningful decisions. Next on our list is personal integrity. So, integrity is essential for effective leadership. Without it, leader must rely on authority and coercion, which is mostly unsustainable. So, personal integrity is crucial naman guys for leaders because it builds trust, earns respect, and sets a moral example. Leaders with high integrity make ethical decisions, maintain consistency in their actions, and foster a positive and transparent environment. It helps to inspire loyalty and confidence within the team. So, yun. Next naman guys is self-confidence. Napaka-importante since it helps or enables leaders to communicate clearly within the group. So, effective leadership requires the act of continuous and precise steps of conceptualizing, organizing, and implementing, wherein self-confidence is necessary even in the face of failure. So, self-confidence is important for leaders because it enables them to make decisions with conviction, handle challenges effectively, and inspires trust in others. Confident leaders are more likely to take initiative, communicate clearly, and motivate their team to achieve goals. It also helps leaders to remain calm under pressure and set a positive example. Next, analytical ability. So, leaders are oftentimes faced with difficulties that prevent the completion of assigned tasks. The ability to analyze is one desirable trait that a leader can use to tide him over many challenging aspects of leadership. So, analytical ability is important for leaders because it allows them to assess situations, solve problems, and make informed decisions. Leaders with strong analytical skills can evaluate data, foresee potential challenges, and develop effective strategies. Next naman is knowledge of company, industry, or technology. Leaders with strong knowledge of their company, industry, and technology are better equipped to guide their teams and respond effectively to competition. So, yun lang. Self-explanatory na po yan. Next, we have charisma. Yan. Charisma naman po is, sabi dito, is important for leaders because it helps them inspire, motivate, and connect with others. Charismatic leaders attract followers, foster strong relationships, and create positive, energizing environment. Their presence and confidence can influence others to believe in their vision and work towards their common goal. So yun, with charisma, leaders could easily be a magnet that inspire others to follow and helping them to achieve a common goal. Next is creativity. So napaka-importante nito, creativity. Creativity enables leaders to combine knowledge and experience to develop innovative solutions, making it essential for solving complex problems. So, creativity is important for leaders because it helps them solve problems in an innovative ways, adapt to change, and inspire new ideas. Creative leaders encourage out-of-the-box thinking, drive innovation, and find unique solutions to challenges. This foster growth, keeps the team engaged, and helps the organization stay ahead in a competitive environment. And then lastly, we have flexibility. Flexibility in leadership means allowing different approach to work as long as goals are met, enabling adaptability when standard method falls short. So flexibility, uh, it allows them to adapt to changing circumstances, handle unexpected challenges, and remain open to new ideas. Flexible leaders can adjust to their strategies, communication, and approach to meet the needs of their team and organization, fostering a resilient and dynamic work environment. So next, we will proceed to leadership skill, which will be presented by my next group mate. So, go.
So, dito naman po tayo sa leadership skills. So, siyempre, leaders need to have various skills to be effective. They are first, technical skills. Second, human skills. And lastly, conceptual skills. So, itong graph po ito po kung paano po nagagamit yung tatlong skill sa iba't ibang hierarchy ng management level. So, next po. So, itong una, technical skills. Technical skills, these are skills a leader must possess to enable him to understand and make decisions about work, processes, activities, and technology. So, itong technical skill is the specialized knowledge need to perform a specific job. When a leader has a technical skill related to his area of responsibility, he will be more confident in performing his functions. So, itong technical skills na to, ito yung kakayahan na gumamit ng mga tools, specific tools, tapos na kaya mong ituro sa mga group mates o mga members mo. So, example, isang team leader sa IT na gumamit ng marunong mag-code, na gumamit ng technical tools. So, na ginagamit din ng kanyang member. So, yan po. So, for an instance, an engineer manager of a construction firm must have sufficient technical skills to undertake construction works. So, mahalaga ito para sa mga leader upang maunawaan ang actual na ginagawa ng kanilang team, makapagbigay ng tamang direksyon at makalutas ng mga problema. So, next po. Next, itong human skills naman. Itong human skills, these skills refer to the ability of a leader to deal with people, both inside and outside the organization. Ito naman yung kakayanan. Ito naman yung kakayanan makipag-ugnayan, umunawa sa iba't ibang member ng iyong grupo. So, good leaders must know how to get along with people, motivate them, and inspire them. Apart from motivating, human skill include coaching, communicating, moral building, training, and development, help and supportiveness, and delegating. So, mahalaga ito para sa maayos na komunikasyon sa pagbuo ng magandang samahan sa grupo at paglutas ng mga sigalot. Halimbawa, isang manager na marunong makinig sa hinaing ng kanyang team. So, marunong siyang makinig sa mga problem ng kanyang team at nagbibigay ng suporta at papuri sa mga mapanatili ang motibasyon nila. Next po. So, next, lastly, conceptual skills. O itong conceptual skills naman, these skills refer to the ability to think in abstract terms, to see how parts fit together to form the whole. So, a very basic requirement for effective implementation is a clear and well-expressed presentation of what must be done. A leader without sufficient conceptual skill will fail to achieve this. So, ito naman yung kakayanan na makita ang kabuuan ng organization or as a whole ng organization. Maunawaan ang ugnayan ng bawat bahagi at makapagplano para sa naharap. Mahalaga ito para sa mga mataas na posisyon tulad ng director o CEO upang makagawa ng tamang desisyon para sa kabuuang direksyon ng kumpanya or company. Next presenter, please.
So, next topic natin is behavioral approaches to leadership styles. So, ano ba yung significant nung behaviors sa isang leader? No, so leaders can lead and decide what actions they want to implement to become the kind of leader they want to be. So, according here, we have ways leaders approach people to motivate them. It's either positive leadership or negative leadership. Then we have here, according to the way the leaders uses its power. So meron tayong tatlo, which is being an autocratic leaders, a participative leaders, and a free rein leaders. And last, a leader can either be an employee oriented or a task oriented leader. Next. Okay. Ano ba yung pamamaraan ng leaders para i-approach niya yung employees niya? So, meron tayong dalawa diyan, positive leadership tsaka negative leadership. So, positive leadership. Positive leadership is when the leader's approach emphasizes rewards. The style used is positive leadership. The reward may be economic, like an increase in monthly salary, or it may be non-economic, like membership in advisory committee. So, positive leadership fosters a supportive and engaging environment that boosts morals and job satisfaction. So, yung positive leadership, it prioritizes employees' well-being and development inside the workplace. So, next is yung negative leadership. So, ano ba yung negative leadership? Negative leadership is when punishment is emphasized by the leader. The style is said to be negative leadership. The punishment may take the form of reprimand, suspension, or dismissal. And alam naman natin na ang isang negative leader can lead to a toxic work environment. It may decrease engagement and a higher turnover. So, a negative leader may also use fear, intimidation, or micromanagement. Next po. So, meron tayong tatlo dito, how a leader uses its power. So, meron tayong first is autocratic leaders. So, ano ba yung autocratic leaders? Autocratic leaders are the one who make decisions themselves without consulting subordinates are called autocratic leaders. Motivation takes the form of threats, punishment, and intimidation of all kinds. So, the autocratic style is effective in emergencies and when absolute followership is needed. So, ito yung advantages niya. For example, a civil engineer is in charge of constructing a temporary bridge over one that has been currently damaged. And yung disadvantage ng pagiging isang autocratic leader is that autocratic leadership is that the leader receives little, if any, information and ideas from his people as inputs into his decision making. Ibig sabihin yun, hindi niya na-utilize kung yung mga creativity skills ng kanyang employees. So ibig sabihin yun, nagfo-focus lang siya kung ano yung kaya niyang ibigay sa task. Next. Next one is participative leaders. So participative leaders is when a leader is openly invites, or sabihin natin na open-minded siya. So participative leaders, they make decisions and policy making along with their employees. So ang advantages ng participative leaders is that it generates a lot of good ideas, and another one is that it increases the support for decisions and the reduction of the chance that they will be unexpectedly undermined. So parang opposite lang siya nung autocratic leader, no? So si autocratic leader, nagiging parang self-centered siya na leader. So parang nagiging narcissist siya. Si participative leaders naman is siya yung leader na engaging type. So yun nga lang, may disadvantage yung pagiging participative leader. So people may take advantage of you, and next is that it is time consuming and frustrating, di ba? So kung hindi sapat yung pagmi-meeting tapos sa workplace natin magbe-brainstorm pa, di wala lang din na nagko-consume din siya ng time in a workplace. So last, next. So last natin dito sa ways dito sa a leader uses its power is the free rein leaders. So ano nga ba yung free rein leaders? They are the one who set objectives and allow employees or subordinates a relative freedom. So binibigyan ng isang free rein leader ang kanilang employees ng kanilang freedom. As long na may objective na ma-meet, they are called free rein leaders. So ano nga ba yung free rein leader sa isang situation? It is happen when there is a full managerial delegation resulting to optimum utilization of time and resources. This happens because many people are motivated to full effort only if given this kind of free rein. So next, ang weakness naman niya is that free rein leaders is that there is a very little managerial control and a high degree of risk. So kung yung leader natin is hindi niya kilala, kung hindi siya aware kung gaano ka competent yung employees niya, edi there is a high risk na yung task na binigay sa kanila is more likely to fail or hindi nila ma-meet on time. So next tayo. So dito naman tayo, leaders orientation toward tasks and people. Because a leader can either be an employee-oriented or a task-oriented leaders. So ano nga ba yung employee-oriented leader? A leader is said to be employee-oriented when he considers employees as human beings of intrinsic importance and with individual and perennial need to satisfy. Ibig sabihin yun, katulad lang din siya ng positive leadership na pinaprioritize niya yung employees' well-being and development inside the workplace. And ano naman yung task-oriented leader? A leader is said to be task-oriented if he places stress on production and the technical aspects of the job, and the employees are viewed as means of getting the work done. So, ang isang task-oriented leader is that ang mahalaga sa kanya is matapos yung task, and how he treats his employees, parang they are a means of tool para matapos yung task. So yun lang po. Yung next reporter po ng next topic po.
So yun, contingency approach to leadership. Contingency means the effectiveness of a leader behavior in contingent upon organizational situations, aptly called contingency approaches. This theory explains the relationship between leadership styles and effectiveness in specific situations. The basic tenet of this focus was that behavior effective in some circumstances might be ineffective under different conditions. Next is contingency is a leadership style that works in one situation might not work in another situation. There is no one best way of leadership, and contingency simply means it depends. It means that one thing depends on other things, and for a leader to be effective, there must be an appropriate fit between the leader's behavior and the situation. Next is the models of contingency leadership. The various contingency approaches are as follows: Hersey and Blanchard situational leadership model, Pat Gould model of leadership, Fiedler's contingency model, and Vroom's decision-making model. Next. Hersey and Blanchard situational leadership model. The situational leadership model developed by Hersey and Blanchard suggests that the most important factor affecting the selection of leadership style is the development or maturity level of subordinates. The leader should match his or her style to this maturity level. Maturity has two components: job skills and knowledge, and psychological maturity. Next. Next is the development stage and the recommended style table. In development stage, we have low ability plus low willingness, which is the directing, structure, control, and supervise. Directing is for people who lack competence but are enthusiasts and committed. They need direction and supervision to get them started. Next is low ability plus high willingness, which is the coaching, direct and support. Coaching is for people who have some competence but lack of commitment. They need direction and supervision because they are still relatively inexperienced. They also need support and praise to build their self-esteem and involvement in decision making to restore their commitment. Next is high ability plus low willingness, which is the supporting. Supporting is for people with competence but lack of confidence or motivation. They do not need much direction because of their skills, but support is necessary to bolster their confidence and motivation. Next is high ability plus high willingness, which is the delegating. This is for people who have both competence and commitment. They are able and willing to work on a project by themselves with little supervision or support. Next is the Pat Goal model of leadership. The Pat Goal model of leadership, espoused by Robert J. House and Terence R. Mitchell, stipulates that leadership can be made effective because leaders can influence subordinates' perception of their work goals, personal goals, and path to goal attainment. Next. By using the path goal model, it is assumed that effective leaders can enhance subordinates' motivation by first clarifying the subordinates' perception of work goals. Next is linking meaningful rewards with goal attainment, and lastly, explaining how goals and desired rewards can be achieved. Next. Um, this is the path goal processes. First is leaders and identifying employees' needs. Next is appropriate goals are established. Leaders connects rewards with goals. Leaders provides assistance on employee path toward goals. Next is employees become satisfied and motivated, and they accept the leader. Effective performance occurs, and lastly, both employees and organization better reach their goals. Next. The leadership styles which may be used by path goal proponents are as follows. First is directive leadership, where the leaders focuses on clear task assignments, standards of successful performance, and work schedules. Next is supportive leadership, where subordinates are treated as equal in a friendly manner while striving to improve their well-being. Next is participative leadership, where the leader consults with subordinates to seek their suggestions and then seriously considers those suggestions when making decisions. Next, lastly is achievement-oriented leadership, where the leader set challenging goals, emphasize excellence, seek continuous improvement while maintaining a high degree of confidence that subordinates will meet difficult challenges in a responsible manner. Next is next. Vroom's decision-making model, which will be discussed by my co-presenter.
So next itong Vroom's decision-making model. So Vroom's model of leadership is one that prescribes the proper leadership style for various situations, focusing on the appropriate degrees of delegation of decision-making authority. 5 distinct decision-making styles are identified under the Vroom model. 2 of them are autocratic, 2 are consultative, and 1 is group-directed. So ang Vroom decision-making model ay isang theory na tumutulong sa mga leader na piliin ang pinakangkop na paraan ng paggawa ng desisyon depende sa sitwasyon. Next slide please. So, sa autocratic leader, so leader solves the problem or makes the decision himself using available information. So, degree of subordinate participation dito is none. So, halimbawa dito, boss na nagdesisyon kung sino ang mapopromote at walang di kinakailangan ng opinion sa kanyang employee. So next ulit sa autocratic leadership is leader obtains necessary information from subordinates then decides. So ang degree of subordinate participation naman dito is low. So ang halimbawa naman dito is manager na nagtatanong tungkol sa performance ng mga empleyado para siya pa rin ang magdedesisyon mag-isa. Pero siya pa rin ang magdedesisyon mag-isa. So, dito naman tayo sa consultative leader. So, leader approaches subordinates individually getting their ideas then makes decision. Ang degree of subordinate participation naman dito is moderate. Moderate lang. So, leader ang kumukonsulta sa ilang member ng group, humihingi ng opinion, pero siya pa rin ang final decision maker. So, halimbawa, isang teacher na nagtatanong sa ilang estudyante kung okay ba ang plano, pero siya pa rin ang magdedesisyon. So, last dito sa consultative leader is leader shares the problem with subordinates as a group, obtaining their collective ideas and suggestions, then decides. So, ang degree of subordination naman dito is moderate pa rin. So, ang example dito is manager na nagsasagawa ng meeting para tanungin ang buong team, tapos siya pa rin ang pipili ng solution. So, last dito naman tayo sa group directed. So, leader shares the problem with subordinates as a group, lets the group generate and evaluate alternative solutions, and then collectively decides. So, degree of subordinate participation naman dito is high. So, ang buong grupo ay kasali sa paggawa ng desisyon at ang leader ay parte lang ng proseso. So halimbawa, team na nag-meeting at nagkasundo kung anong project ang uunahin. So dito naman ay lahat may boses, lahat boboses. So next slide po. So, last dito sa contingency plan natin is tong Fiedler's contingency model. So, according to Fiedler's, Fred Fiedler, leadership is effective when the leader's style is appropriate to the situation. The situational characteristic is determined by the three principal factors. So, first, the relations between leader and followers. So, the structure of the task. And lastly, the power inherent in the leader's position. So, ang Fiedler's contingency model ay isang theory na sa pamumuno na nagsabing walang iisang tamang estilo ng pamumuno para sa lahat. Sa halip, ang pagiging epektibo ng isang leader ay nakadepende sa ugnayan ng kanyang estilo ng pamumuno at ng sitwasyon na kinakaharap. So, kung ang situation characteristics vary from organization to organization. So, to be effective, the situation must fit the leader. If this is not, then the following may be tried. So, kung hindi fit yung situation dun sa leader, ito naman yung pwede mong itry. So, change the leader's trait of behavior. So, pwede mong palitan yung trait ng leaders or kanyang behavior. Tapos, or next, select leaders who have traits or behaviors fitting the situation. Or, kaya mag-select ng bagong leader na akma dun sa situation na kinakaharap. Or next is move leaders around in the organization until they are in position that fit them. And lastly, kung wala dun sa tatlo, ito naman tong last is change the situation. So, change yun na lang yung situation para magiging akma dun sa iyong leader. So, ito po yung 4 na contingency model. Thank you everyone.